Good morning, all. This morning I was able to complete Big Country Baseball Time Advanced free edition. This is a special Big Country Baseball Time Advanced version of the rules. It was created for Big Country Baseball Historical Tome by Rodney. So every time Rodney's done something like this, I've provided some kind of free version of the actual game engine, so people can enjoy playing these historical teams and players completely free. And so, of course, that required I make one for baseball time. But I want to discuss this because it is a completely different engine than the one in the book. So if you want to play Big Country Baseball Time, the abstract, simple version, then you're going to want to grab the Coil book, the Big Country Time Sports Coil book, one of the three available Coil books. If you want to just play the advanced version here, it is free, and you can use it with any of these historical teams. So let's go over why did I do it. Well, one, I believe if you're going to generally, what I'd like to see with baseball, if you're going to have the opportunity to set up your batting lineup and have every player and pitcher, then I personally, when I'm playing historical teams, I'm going to want to see every at-bat of the whole game. So that's what this is. So those who don't know, Big Country Baseball Time in the Coil-bound book, the big book, the Big Country Time Sports book, is abstract. You can still use all of these teams and players with that version. That's what this was designed to do. But I think most of our tabletop brethren, our peers in the tabletop baseball hobby, would also like to be able to use this set with traditional at-bats. So that is what I have done. So for those of you out there who are dire baseball fans, I do not pretend in any way, shape, or form that this is the best possible baseball engine. But I believe it's a really good compromise, so you can use the Big Country Baseball Historical Tome and all of these teams and players in history and get a more traditional baseball experience that you would be accustomed to. If you still had rather enjoy all of these historical teams and leagues and players with the abstract version, then you can do that with the book. But I think most baseball fans are going to want a more traditional, and if I'm going to provide a free game, I think it should be closer to a fast and fun at-bat game. So this allows you to play every out at-bat. Okay, so you're going to get to go through your lineups. All right, so here's what it looks like. It's very simple, very quick write-up as to what it is, what it indicates, and ratings. There is no way to create teams, or if you want to be able to create fictional and career leagues, you're going to need to buy the big book. This is just, you can grab the two teams you want to play, set up your batting order for each team, select your starting pitchers from the rotation, and start playing. And what I've done is changed the batting chance. So what happens is when you have your pitcher, so let's say my starting pitcher is Tom Glavine, he's a 4. And let's say he's facing, I can't think of a player right now, Tom Glavine versus Ken Griffey. All right, Ken Griffey Jr. And let's say Glavine is a 4 rated pitcher. That's the highest you can be against a 4 batter. Ken Griffey will have a 25% chance or 250 batting average. So with 2D10, so again, we don't need the D6. So all you're going to need to play this version of Big Country Baseball Time Advanced is D100 and a D10. So you need 3 D10. However, you're rolling 2 of the D10 is just a simple D100 check to see if you get a hit. If you get a hit, the range will tell you what type of hit. If you fail to get a hit, then you roll a single D10 to see how the out was derived, and that's it. That's the engine. It's 2 pages. So this advanced version of out-by-out at-bat baseball. So here's an example. Let's just say it's Glavine versus Ken Griffey. I need a 25% and below in the D100 roll to see if he gets a hit. And I roll a 96. 96 is going to be an out, but what kind of out? I pick up the D10 and I roll. It's going to be a 9. 9 is a fly out to the right field. So Ken Griffey would fly out to the right field. So you could roll all 3 D10s. You could roll like my D10 here is a black and a white, so that would be my D100 roll, and then I could roll a red just for the out if there's an out. So I can make this a simple one roll mechanism. So yes, there's only going to be so many, but all we need to know is how the out was derived. If you roll it, let's say Ken Griffey again fails to get a hit, and I roll this chart, and it says 0. Let's say I roll a 10 on the out chart. If the pitcher is a plus pitcher and there's a man on base anywhere, he would get a pickoff out. So basically, Ken Griffey would not only so what would happen before Ken Griffey's out is the pitcher would pick off a potential stealer if a man is on base. Obviously, somebody has to be on base for him to get a pickoff. But let's say the scenario is there is nobody on base. Ken Griffey's the first man up in the inning. And let's say there is, so the next thing we check, if the pitcher isn't a plus and there's nobody on base, then he can't get a pickoff out, right? So then we're going to look at a double play. So Ken Griffey would hit the ball into a fly. If there is a plus infielder and a man on base, then we would get a double out, right? Double play. That would mean that it would be a fly out to the right fielder, and then he would gun out the man trying to make an advance, right? So whoever the right fielder is for that team would snatch it on the fly. If he has any kind of plus rating, bam, he's going to throw somebody out. That would be a double play. So we got the fly out, and he would throw to a guy trying to, come back to the bag or whatever, right? Like you would trap a runner. Okay. Last but not least, if those two scenarios aren't in alignment, we then look at a plus outfielder. So if you roll a 0 when you're checking what kind of out, you check the pitcher first, then you check the double play potential, and then you check the outfielder. So if you don't have an infielder with a plus or a pitcher with a plus, you would check if there's an outfielder with a plus. An outfielder with a plus would make the play at the wall for an out. However, any plus base runners, right, would advance. So plus infielders and man on base would be doubles. A plus pitcher would get a pickoff out. However, a plus outfielder, if these two things aren't met, a plus outfielder and a man on base would mean an advanced runner in a sac fly. So that wouldn't have been just an out for Ken Griffey. That would have been a sacrifice fly for Ken Griffey if a man was on base. And none of these other two. So you read them in order. If you have a plus pitcher, he's going to pick off somebody trying to steal a base. If you have a plus infielder and there's a man on, that would be a double play. If you have a plus outfielder, because the other two have not been met, that would be a sacrifice fly, and a plus base runner would advance. So that's how you can get all the different scenarios in this simple little D10 roll. All right. Also, I just remind the rules. Any SPRP who reaches their IP limit must be replaced by a relief pitcher. Closing pitchers can be used inside 9 innings only. So in other words, you're going to want to use that closing pitcher sometime in 8th or 9th inning, right? Even to close out a tight ball game, to go into extra innings. If a team runs out of RPs that are on the roster, then anybody that would be needed to come off the bench would be automatically a 0 RP. So those who don't know, Rodney didn't rate every single player on the teams. He rated the top starters and the top pitchers. So there will be a time where you're going to run out of RPs in a game. You would just automatically bring in another RP who would be rated as 0, and they would just get to pitch the remainder of the game for whatever reason. Each team is considered to have utility infielder and a utility outfielders and relief pitchers, all of them at 0 ratings. So if bench players are not rated for a team, then you would assume any benches. Again, you're not necessarily in this game. This is not meant to be a very dyed-in-the-wool replay game. So you're not going to have a lot of bench players subbing in for any reason. But let's say you do decide to make bench players for your teams, and you think that there are a utility infielders so you would bring in because they're a plus defender, but they have a 0. Let's say they're a 0 plus. That would be a good utility infielder because you would bring him in when you're winning the game because you want that chance to get double plays, right? So you could create bench players for every historical team and just make them a 0 rating, or maybe they're a DH, they're a good batter, so they might be a 3 plus or 3. But the game isn't designed for that, but you could just assume that every team has a backup you could bring in just so you can make substitutions. But if you make substitutions, they're going to be 0 rated players, unless, of course, you choose to say, hey, I'm going to rate the bench players, and you're going to have to use your why? Obviously, there are managers that use the bench for defense, not just for pinch hitting, etc. So it makes sense if you were calling up a pinch hitter during the game to replace a 0+ player because you're down by a run in the bottom of the 8th. You're going to make that guy a 0+ hitter. You would say, okay, I'm going to pinch hit with a 1, because he would replace a 0+, he'd become a 1. So I would improve my chance at getting a hit, but I would be taking out that 0+ hitter and that 0+ defender, right? So you would just assume a pinch hitter would be 1 grade better than the guy you're replacing, right? I don't even have to invent them now. I can just say pinch hitting as a utility infielder, he would be like 1 point better than whoever you're pinch hitting for that 1 at-bat, right? Or a pinch runner, or a pinch or defensive player in late innings when you're winning. So you just got to kind of use your own. There are no rules in my big country baseball time game for those kind of details. It is an abstract score generator based on the quality of your players during an inning. So it's just the first inning, second inning, third inning. This allows you to roll for every at bat. So now you're going to roll one time to see if in the matchup if there's a hit. If there's a hit, this will tell you the range. So again, if Ken Griffey had rolled a 25, that would be a hit, barely right on a hit. 220 to 250 for Ken Griffey against a 4 pitcher would have been a simple single. So Ken Griffey would get a single to first base. That's it. But if Ken Griffey rolled a 2, home run. Ken Griffey at bat, bang, lead off home run, or starts the inning off with a home run. Or if I rolled a 6, Ken Griffey would hit a triple. If I rolled a 7 to 12, a double. And 13 to 21, Ken Griffey would hit a single, but anybody if he's a plus, so if Ken Griffey was a 4+, he would get an extra base chance. And the chance is very simple. If a batter with a plus scores a hit between 13 and 21%, that is an extra base. However, only against a defense with 0+ fielders, which means if no one on the defense has a plus, Ken Griffey would get an extra base hit. If you have any plus fielders in the game, that shuts down an extra base hit. So you're rarely gonna see an extra base hit. I mean, you're gonna see an extra base hit either on a home run, triple, or double. But what I mean is a single turned into an extra base would only happen if your opponent had no pluses at all. Period. So it covers almost every baseball thing that could happen. And it uses a standardized batting average formula. So you can now enjoy big country baseball time with at-bats. And you can resolve it in one roll. So if I roll 3 10s, I don't have another D10 here. But again, oh yeah, I do. I actually have a 100. So again, let's say it is, let's say my batter is rated a 2. And he's facing a 2 starting pitcher. So my first at-bat, I have to roll 22% and below. And I'm going to roll a 26. So it is an out, and I rolled an 8 on the third D10. The 8 was a fly out to center field. So my first at-batter popped up, fly out center field, and that's 1 down, 2 to go. Right? Second man up, let's say my second man up is a 3 versus a 2 pitcher. He has a 25% chance. And we're going to roll a 32. So it's going to be, and 2, it is a pop up to the catcher. So he pops it straight up. The catcher waves everybody away, makes a simple catch. That is 2 down, 1 to go. And my third batter, let's say we're the third man in the lineup. Let's say he's my big boy. He's a 4+ against his 2. I need to roll 27% below for my 4+ hitter. And I'm going to get a 74, 8. It's going to be another fly out to center field. So I had 2 guys in the first inning fly out to center, and the other popped up to the catcher, and that's it. The first half of inning 1 is over, and we move on to the home team. And there you have it, folks, a big country baseball time advanced history tome version. This allows you to play every at-bat, something I think most baseball fans would prefer. Serious baseball fans, and I only say that I like the abstraction of baseball time, big country baseball time in the books, because I like games to go fast, and I love that abstract idea of how did the in the lineup, he gets his shot at scoring a run or 2 during the game, and that's his one chance, right? And we go through the game quickly, and I like the abstraction of it. I can imagine how the game must have looked. But I think most tabletop baseball fans prefer a batter-pitcher interface. and I think they prefer to see the game unfold. Right? You can change these descriptions if you want, if you think these are boring or whatever, but it's a simple check to see who makes the out if they fail to get a hit, right? Okay. And again, it's completely free. It shows you how and again, it allows, our peers in the community that are diehard baseball fans who want to have any team, any player in history, and play out those games. Here you have it. All right. So here's a team that has no plus hitters, no plus fielders, right? So any plus, by the way. So this is defense. Well, that's the pitcher. But if you have a plus catcher, let's say he's 1+, that counts for his hitting and his fielding. So a plus player would count for base running, hitting, and fielding. So you're not going to see multiple ratings. So if Charlie, let's see if we got one here. Let's see. Here we go. Cincinnati Red Stockings, Charlie Jones. This plus would count if he was on base as a base runner. It would count if he's making a play from the wall as an outfielder, and it would count as a batter getting a extra base hit. So if you see a plus at all, it counts for all three phases of play, right? That would be base running, hitting, and fielding. On defense, same thing. Will White, if he's up to hit, he counts as his pitching, his base running, his defense. Okay, so that plus comes into play. So you're only going to see a rating with a plus. But again, this allows you to go through the lineup. You can set your lineup. Cincinnati here. Oh yeah, they also have John Riley, so he's a 3+. So again, you set your batting lineup, pick your starting pitcher, both teams, and you just start rolling every at bat. And I think there's going to be people who enjoy that version of Big Country Baseball Time than the abstract version. And again, it's free, so at least you can enjoy a full game of baseball completely free with any player and any team in baseball history. So there it is, folks. I will put a link to this. So right here, matter of fact, let's go back out. We're going to put a link to Big Country Baseball Tome. There it is. And we're going to put a link in the video description box, and you can click on it and grab that. In this whole folder will have all the teams and players rated plus the free version of the game. Thank you, everyone. Have a fantastic week. It is Sunday. Football season's over. And so I get my Sundays to do something other than watch football, so that's kind of nice. Everybody have a wonderful week. And again, Rodney, thank you for doing this. It has added so much of an opportunity for folks in the community to enjoy the Big Country Time sports games with true historical players and teams. And thanks again on behalf of everybody, Rodney, for doing this for us. Bye-bye.